let's get started. I'm going to start by introducing myself. My name is Lori Power. I'm a group benefit consultant, and in working for my clients, my job is to be consistent and to always bring in people in the know. So that's where it comes to meeting Connie. Connie and I are Zoom buddies, as are most of us in this room, which is so awesome. Think about the friendships we've made in the last year. I'm not going back at all. This has been fantastic. I don't have to get any jet lag to talk to Melanie. John, you're in here without taking a plane. Isn't that awesome? So welcome, and let's enjoy the conversation. When Connie and I first met, and we met via a Zoom call, and I heard her introduce herself, and I said, that's somebody that I really want to get to know. And so I think I took her a little bit off as I do quite often. And I said, I'd really like to have a conversation with you because something you said really keyed with me. And she opened by saying, a tech audit is important because we weren't born with these skills. And technology is always changing. Jason, you're in the technology field. It's constantly moving. Somebody said to me just this morning, something in the financial services that happened 3 years ago isn't even applicable now. So that's how fast we're moving. Connie, can you take us through a little bit about your history and how you got to where you are in servicing your clients and their technology needs?
Sure, I'd love to, Lori. Thank you very much for inviting me in here. So, I started off in business administration with that kind of education behind me. I was on my way to be an accountant. I was actually doing the required accounting practicum, but back in my days, so this is the olden days, it was hard to find an accounting job where they didn't want you to do filing first for the first 3 months. So I kind of got tired of that. And I actually ended up getting a job being a database coordinator with a local nonprofit company. And so from that experience, I was the one that knew the most about computers in their office. And so they sent me for all this computer training continuously. And after 2 years of doing a project for them, I moved on, and the computer training company that I took the courses with hired me. And so another 2 years go by, and I bought out the owner of that computer training company, and I started teaching more. And when I got into the classroom, I just absolutely loved it because I saw, how I could make people more comfortable with computers, and I found out how scared they really were, and I had no idea. I thought, aren't you guys okay with this? And you really get to know what it's like to learn again, because I would maybe pass some of that point with where I knew information. So it was really great to open my eyes and help me help others.
We can talk all day, and we'll get to that, about all of the massive changes that have happened from when even you came into the industry to now. Mm-hmm. And even if we look over the last year, right, an explosion. Tell me though, what stays the same when it comes to technology?
Well, what stays the same is actually the shortcuts. The shortcuts you could use even in DOS days, if any of you are old enough to know what DOS is. This is back 30 years ago. Those shortcuts are still used today. Like F1 is still help, or Control C is still copy, Control V is paste. Those kinds of things. And more than one way of doing everything is also still rampant. So those things have changed the same, but the need for change is another big one, because the technology is changing all the time. So even if you ask somebody about something, you might be using the wrong terminology because you're using older terms that are no longer used today. So it's an evolving thing, and that's maybe what's kept me in it so long, as I've had to evolve with it, right? So
it's always exciting. I work a lot with output. So awesome to have Jason in here. And one of the projects that we've been working on is the development of a new CRM system that is going to work for the nuances of my industry. I'm really happy with it, but as a user, I can tell you there's a certain part of me that's frightened. I know I need the technology. I know that it will help me when I get to know it and learn it, But there's two things that are adding to my fright: the amount of time, and once I learn it, will it be obsolete? Is that common?
Oh, very much so. I mean, but time is a factor in many ways because people don't want to take training because of the time involved, or as you say, people don't want to get new technology because of the time involved. But what we're failing to measure here is the time it's taking them to do whatever they're doing. And they've been doing it that way for so long, they forget that it's, even a thing, right? So unless we're open to being open about what's changed and what's available to us, we can't expect better things to happen when we don't make a change in some way. So it's kind of like that saying of, oh no, I forgot the saying, but you can't keep doing the same thing expecting different results, something along
Oh,
those.
yes, that the definition of insanity, doing the
Yeah.
same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
I seem to, some portions of my life seem to live that way. Um, but I don't think I'm alone in saying that. Connie, when we're talking about customers and clients, and we talk about companies that go and embrace and spend so much money on updating or increasing or even changing their whole operational system, how many of them miss a critical component when they don't properly train?
Well, that's a very good question, especially for this day and age that we're in right now. I mean, with COVID, most of us or all of us have had to pivot to be online. Who knew Zoom before COVID? There's so many people that didn't even know it existed, and now they're on it. Who knew Microsoft Teams, before COVID? Now they're on it. So the thing with that though is that sometimes we're pushed into technology, which is kind of good because that means, I was actually pushing Microsoft Teams years before COVID, but my clients would say to me, "Yeah, it's probably be a good idea, Connie, but maybe later." And so now the later has come. It's been forced on them. But the thing is, you get the new technology, you get the new computer. Even in some cases, that's pushing new technology on you. But what about you? How do you get the knowledge that you need for that technology? Did you, when you touched that computer, was there magic fairy dust that came out and sprinkled all the knowledge in your face and said, okay, now you know it all, so I guess you're good to go? Or do you just have the figure out mentality? Well, I'll just figure it out. So how long does it take you to figure it out? It's kind of like me saying, I'm not going to invest my money because I'll just put it under my mattress. It's like it's gonna grow because I'll just keep putting it there. Yeah, it's gonna grow based on what you put in there, but it's not going to grow exponentially. If you take training, your time, your productivity, everything about that tool that you just invested is going to grow exponentially because now you're using it from the get-go. You're not waiting to figure it out. And how do you know when you figured it out?
When you're efficient and when you can look back
Compared to
compared
what?
well, compared to how you were perhaps doing things before. That's what I can say. One of the process pieces for output was when they first put together our first piece of engineering, if you would, or digital platform. It was again, we went into that project going, okay, maybe. And now we look at it over a year later and we see now how much more proficient we are, how much more efficient we are. I loved your posting and I continue to love your posting. Time is non-refundable. Use it with intention. If you haven't had an opportunity to read that posting on Connie's site, I strongly urge you. It might take you 5 minutes to go through, but it's a wonderful posting. Take us through the impetus of what made you write about that.
Now I'm trying to remember exactly what I wrote there, but I'll just reference it in the way that the title is. So, like if we are making, I think with our time, what's happening is we feel that we have to do what's in front of us and just get the job done and figure it out. And I see the computer scenario thing being a little bit of a hidden what do you want to call it? Hidden skill that a lot of us have that we don't necessarily have a way of measuring. So how do we take our time and use it with intention? We can look at stuff like, should we Google that answer? Well, how many times have you guys Googled something and found out that you went in there for 2 minutes to come out of there with 20 minutes lost? Like you realize that just took me 20 minutes. And also you went down some other trail. So by the time you were done, you're like, what was I looking for? And then with computers, add on top of that, when you Google something about a computer, like how to do something in Excel or Word or Outlook, you might get the wrong answer because it's somebody that's written that piece or recorded that YouTube based on an old version. So you try it and you go, that's not working. Or maybe it's a new version and you have the old version. So use your time with intention. I mean, shouldn't we be investing our time in ourselves? We're our best asset. We're the one we know we can grow. We can't control everything outside of us, but we should be able to control ourselves. So I don't know if that answered your question the way you expected it, but
no, it's
really kind of what I'm thinking. So
it absolutely does, Connie, because we can't get that time back. Mm-hmm. There's no getting that time back. There's no time machine that's going to rewind us that half hour down the rabbit hole of I just Googled I need, and it came up with, I need a new name, right? Like,
yeah. And Lori, to be actually just to carry on with that idea a little bit, lots of times that is what starts the conversation with me, with my clients, is I feel like this is taking me too long to do it. So, I've got a couple of examples I can share with you. One being a lady that came to me, and based on her job, she had to use this particular form in Word, and she used it probably at least once a week, but filling it out for new applicants took her, maybe 3 hours, because she had these big 4 or 5 applicants or 10 applicants at a time. And so she was taking me through what she was doing, and instantly I knew her answer. So that job was every single week taking her 3 hours. By the time I was done working with her, that job took her 10 minutes, if that. She was blown away because she had no idea that was possible, but she knew, I'm spending too much time on this. That's all she could kind of reference for that perspective. So, it's worth taking the time maybe to ask somebody, and who should you ask? I mean, I guess the best expert that in that area would be a good person to ask. So that's kind of one of the stories I thought it would be worthwhile sharing there.
I can so relate to that, Connie, and John will know this. I had a call yesterday from a client. How many times have you been here, John? And somebody says, and they're a prospect, they just called out of the blue, however they found you, and and they're complaining about their dental plan, and they're complaining that they've got $2,000 worth of coverage, but yet everything's being declined. First answer, John, is is there a co-insurance in there? What is your co-insurance? What about the provincial fee guides, right? And they don't know any of those things. So, yeah. So we end up looking like mind readers, which is pretty good, but it's knowing your business. And I really appreciate that example, Connie, because I think we can all relate to that in our fields of how we do things. When we're, and I especially love this one, when my dad will hand something to my son, technology wise, and say, you know how to do this because of his age.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is I like what Lisa put there. You don't know what you don't know. But the thing with kids, though, you have to realize is that, first of all, they have been told that since day one. This technology. So guess what? They are so confident. They are confident over the moon. Sometimes they're too confident. I'm like, hang on a minute, don't touch my computer, but yet as adults, or as people that have had to kind of take on this technology in our work world, we've been told, don't touch that. No, that's wrong. So we've been kind of given the opposite approach, and so we're scared to touch things. And plus, the other thing I've told people before is that, who's paying for it? Who paid for that phone and that computer? You did, the adult. The kid, if they break it, they don't care. They'll just get a new one. Whereas the adult, we got that worry behind us because we think we're going to break it. So, and we paid for it. We're going to pay for it again, or pay for the person to fix it. So we have that little bit of that in our heads. So yeah, not to say kids they are very good, but just to put it a little bit in perspective and to give adults a little bit more of the credit too. So,
well, it's a lot of pressure on them to assume that without any kind of training that they do know. And of course it's trial and error. They're in there doing that. But you bring up a good reminder for me. When we were talking about who is a good trainer, right? I think of all the times that, my kid has taken my phone and I snatch it back from him, right? Like, because if you're going to teach me how to do something, teach me. Don't take it from me and do it. Take me through how you develop your trainers for the programs that you offer.
Yeah, well, I remember this one time, and I don't have as many trainers these days as I used to, but I remember this one time I had them all in a room with me for an orientation, and I was talking to them about how things worked in our organization and stuff, and even just watching how they worked with each other, how one trainer would cut somebody off, or how one person would want to be sort of show off how much they knew, or and so those are the ones that I usually didn't hire. You cut somebody off, you had to have the talk about how much you knew, and you had to keep going and going and going when I was like, obviously, like over the like you're going way too much. But the other thing is, I always say, I don't touch anybody's mouse, right? I don't touch your mouse or keyboard. I have to sit there with my hands behind my back or stand there or watch on Zoom as you do it, because an hour after the training's done, I'm not going to be there. You have to do it. So I don't want to train you to show off. I want to train you to help you, become the best at that as you can. So I don't touch their mouse.
Let's talk about your two pivots over the last year and a bit. One is to be able to train in the virtual capacity, and the other is, and strongly urge all of you to check out her YouTube site and all of the different courses available, and then go on to the website. It's amazing. You don't have to Google that.
Thank you.
It's right there. So take me through a couple of those pivots on how you help customers. And borders don't matter, John. So you can Zoom anywhere without jet lag.
Well, I guess one of the ones that you're probably referring to is the fact that training is online. So, and it's more than just this Zoom meeting. I mean, that's certainly a part of it. Like, I always want to get to know my student, whether they buy a $50 program from me or a, $2,000 program for me. I still want to meet them and find out more about them. So the online training I have, though, if somebody signed up for Microsoft Teams or SharePoint training today, they could be learning it this afternoon, and they could have it done by tonight if they want to, or 3 months from now. They have a membership to my training site, and the training's all broken down into modules, which are broken down into lessons. And so some lessons are 10 minutes long, or some lessons are 20 minutes long. They're broken up based on the topic. And the biggest thing for me as a trainer that I've learned over the years is not to overwhelm people with going too many directions at once. So focus on the one topic, get that understood really well. And I'm not going to tell you that there's 7 ways of doing this thing. I'm going to tell you 1 or 2 ways that I know are the best for you to start with, that will lead you to the least bit of trouble, because I know if you always go this direction, that's going to be the best way. Whereas, and this is, I actually was teaching one of my clients who was she was a senior, and she said to me, she hired me because, my son's been teaching me, but he just grabs my iPad and then he does it, and he gets so mad because I don't figure it out. And I said, well, I'm never going to grab your iPad, for one thing. But the other thing she said to me was that, they always want to correct how she does something. So I said to her, here's the thing. When I show you how to do something, and I'm going to write it all out for you so you have a reference, I'm going to record it for you so you can watch it as well. And then when someone says, oh, you can do it this way, you just say, Connie said, I only do it this way. I just want you to put your hand up or tell them to stop, because The trouble with that is that, I know we all mean well and we want to help somebody, but if someone's just taken training, they've learned to do it a certain way, they're trying to get that route down. They're trying to have that practice. And as soon as they get it down and they've done it, 20 times, then they can probably take in more examples. But when they just learned it 5 minutes ago and you're telling them 4 other ways, you've just confused them. And so now they're all kind of flustered and so on. So that's something else to kind of keep in mind, especially if you have to train somebody or help somebody. But the other pivot I think you're referring to might be just the fact that, I'm trying to do the tech audits, trying to get to know what the client needs from a very full perspective, as opposed to, and really over the years, I've always done this to some degree, because someone will call me and say they need Excel level 2. And I never give them Excel level 2 the next minute, because I'm like, how do you know you need Excel level 2? Like, I don't even know what you know. So I always do an assessment, and then I try and work it backwards. And so I want to go more than that in terms of like, let's find out, well, is Excel the right tool for you to use? I mean, I was working with a client last week, and he showed me his Excel spreadsheet, and I told him 3 things. I said, one thing is you should be using a CRM. That does not belong in Excel. Second thing is that you have some stuff in here that should be in your accounting system. So, like, are we using the wrong tool for the wrong task? And I can't tell you until you show me what you've got going on. So that's where the assessment can kind of come in too.
I love that. I love that assessment of being able to mind map basically what you need, and then develop that training around what's going to make you more productive. Open it up here, have some questions. What are some of your tech foibles, if I say that correctly? Let's open it up and have a chit chat about that. Something that you just hate it, and yet you have to get into it all the time.
Good question, right?
Yeah. Jason, even you would have one. You would have something that
what your clients have seen, right? Or what,
like racking my brain right now trying to figure it out. We just migrated from Slack to Teams for our collaboration platform. So because it's new and it's different, it's frustrating right now, right? Because you're trying to figure out all the intricacies of how you do everything, and you're so used to another platform. So that's causing me the headaches right now. I know it's going to be good in the long run, and it's what we need, but that's what's causing me issues now, because it's new. It's different, right?
Right.
It's that time, energy, effort that we were talking about before.
Yeah.
It has to show that return.
So here's the thing is like, so why, Jason, I'm just going to throw it right at you. So why haven't you signed up for training? Why haven't you opened the book on how to learn it? Right. Because who here has built some IKEA furniture, but not bothered to look at the instructions or skimmed them so fast they really didn't absorb them, and then realized that they were halfway done or more, or all the way down, and they missed something, so it's just like, I guess it's just the nature of us that we feel like we have to do it ourselves and not get help. But is help that's scary?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. I think it's because we're a tech company, and so maybe there's part of that saying like, hey, if we're out supporting our clients, we should be able to figure it out in-house, especially since we're actually going to be more. But hey, I'm just saying, this is my assumption. I didn't make the decision on if we're hiring people or not.
Sorry,
that's my
There's no judgment here. No judgment.
Put you on the spot. No.
Yeah.
But I mean, because I am a training company and a tech company, I'm the first one to take training.
Right.
I mean, I always invest in training because those are, because I believe in training. So, I've spent more dollars than I'll ever care to admit on training, and it's been, and I've never stopped, so but I get it, it's always like, well, we can figure this out, but how long do you wait to figure it out before you realize maybe I should get some help here? Maybe we're wasting too much time. Right. So yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
If I can put some kudos out to you, Lori. The reason I'm here today and hadn't been here today is because of the subject matter, and that you had a guest relative to the subject matter. Most of business is all about timing, let's be honest. So if you make enough calls at the right time, you get the business, right? And that's why I'm here. It's about timing. We're a family held business, and we've done the Outlook game and done this and we have some online portals like My HSA, and we've stayed up with it. We're looking at a CRM thing because we've been under the radar for 10 years, milking our business, managing our business. We're back building because we've got a big thing. So we're going to a CRM program. We're taking all our prospects, and as they become suspects, we're moving them over to CRM because, frankly, we're in our 70s. And in 5 years, if family doesn't take it over, it's for sale, and it will be a turnkey proposition. I'm here for the training. Take it from me, folks. I'm 72. You can't get your training soon enough. I'm here to find out what I need to know because I don't know what I need to know. My wife looks after administration, and she has her love-hate relationship with QuickBooks. And this year, she was 4 hours away from taking everything up to the accountant, and it locked us out because it wasn't supported anymore, even though we've used it forever, just like that, and decided it couldn't do it. So, who's pulling whose hair out, right? So we've made many transitions voluntarily. Zoom forced us into completing some stuff because this now is day-to-day business for us. Yeah. We're prospecting, we're getting stuff in our hoppers. We need help, and I'm here for the information. And because of your email and because of this and because we're looking, I've got your contact information. Let's put it that way. Because I don't profess to have the answers, but I like the way your head works.
Thanks, John. I think you're, or maybe Lori.
Yeah. I like the way that you two are going to connect, because after the two of you connect, then you and Jason are going to connect, because he's going to take you through about CRMs and you're going to love them. So now you've got two good connections here. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, one thing
Jason, take my contact information. Would you please, Jason, take my contact info?
Absolutely. Well, I sent you a request on LinkedIn too, but also record your contact.
I don't follow that social media stuff that much, so you may as well talk to me about how weather is made,
Yeah, I'll record your info here. Thanks, John.
And I'll make sure that that Connie gives you a call as well, John, so it's up there in the chat. One thing I like, Corbin, you told me a long time ago about how when you started at Firma, training's always been really important, that there wasn't the assumptions made that you would know what to do, that they've taken that in-house.
Yeah, totally. We have all of our online training for our CRM and our trading program, except for we don't have Microsoft Teams training. We just got that. So, but yeah, a lot of our stuff is already online. So that was pretty fantastic.
Cool. And that's made life a lot easier this last year about being able to transition. It's that training, that ongoing training. Jason, we're really pushing it to you. You got to get that training done. Lisa, you had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, it wasn't so much as a question. It was just, feeling personally attacked with that figure it out mentality.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's perfectly okay. And, I remember the DOS days, and I know I'm aging myself, but, back when I first started, where I fell in love with training and coaching and helping people was actually when home computers first started coming in, and all these people were like, I have no idea how to use this. And then so I would put on like courses at the local public school. They let me use their computer room and stuff like that. So I really appreciate that. Don't touch the mouse. And I mean, there was a lot of times where my hands were behind my back, and I have to remind my kids. One of the other things I think is that we make a lot of assumptions with the younger generation that they know everything. My daughter just graduated university, and she had to, do some graphs and stuff like that. And I said, well, just go into Excel and just make the graphs. And she's like, well, I don't know how to use Excel. And I'm like, how do you not know how to use Excel? I'm like, why are they not teaching this to these kids in school? Like the things that they're actually going to use. So,
well, because the teachers don't have the training either. You know who the teacher is. The teacher is the one that has opening in their schedule. So now they're the Excel trainer, but they don't have any Excel training either. They were the gym teacher the year before or something. Like it doesn't make sense, and the teachers have a lot under their belt, right? So that they have to handle, but.
Yeah. And I think that just, they're changing, just kudos to you, Connie, for keeping up with all of the changes and the ongoing stuff and being able to provide this training, because even, I feel like I've been really great at computers forever. but I don't know what I don't know. And I know there's a lot of easier ways to do things. So Jason, sign up for that training.
We're picking on you,
for Jason and Corbin. Corbin needs teams now. But anyway, but another thing to keep in mind, you guys, is that, especially over time, and maybe John kind of talked to this a little bit in terms of like, we're saying how long you've been doing things. And I'm in the same boat here, but the idea of if it ain't broke, why fix it? That is the wrong motto in computers and technology. You don't wait till it's broken before you fix it, as John found out with his QuickBooks, right? But you always want to be looking at your time. Like, why is this taking so long? And there must be a missing piece. And I love the fact that aside from training, we have people like Jason here, who his company is all about taking automation to the next level. So I mean, yeah, you can have CRM, but why not tie it into your email or tie it into other things so that you have the bots, they're out there right now, and they're actually doing some work for you. And I know Jason probably could give 100 stories of how he's taken people's jobs that are doing some mundane tasks and taken that away from them so that they can automate it, but giving them probably better jobs in the end, because now they can do the fun stuff, right? So and that's the same with learning computers. Like, why are we still doing save as? Quit saving asing. Is that a word? I'm going to say it's a verb, but use templates. But
yeah, that would
I save as a lot, so I'm really curious why I shouldn't be right now.
Yeah.
Well, you can with your CRMs, right? Like, you can attach your templates and then they're automatically pre-filled to send them out. John, I got to tell you. So with Output, they've taken all of the commissions and we've tied it to our CRM. So when you're talking about QuickBooks and bookkeeping in our world and all the multi of insurance carriers, they've got it covered. I've been their guinea pig and they did a most fabulous job. So you would like that. So yeah, it's really good. And so when you look at that training level and then you look at innovation, what Connie does is train us to be able to use these systems. What an innovative company like Output does is just make us more productive. So time and productivity equals efficiency. And that brings us to time, because I'm always conscious of ending on time. So again, I strongly urge you to connect and share, reach out, keep the friendships going. And I always thank everybody for coming in. You're the highlight of my whole week. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori, very much.
Thanks, Lori. Thanks, Connie.